I have been to a ton of diners, and I have never seen this in my life, and I had to try it. A lot of places have Reubens, which is either corned beef or pastrami with sauerkraut, and they'll do different cheeses or Swiss on rye bread. But this right here, they have a whole section at this diner. It's called Meet the Reubens, where there's a ton of different kinds. It's a brisket Reuben. So instead of corned beef pastrami, you have brisket. There was no way that I wasn't going to try that. This is a first for me. There's not too many firsts these days when it comes to the amount of food that I eat. And then I got an order of their sirloin, beef sirloin. Now, this comes, it's going to look weird because it's just sitting in the au jus. Au jus. Au jus. But it comes with sides, which are over here. So we have mashed potatoes and spinach. So it's not just a plate of freaking steak, as well as some soup. You had chicken noodle or chicken matzo ball. Y'all can see there's a matzo ball in here somewhere floating around. Of course, now, I just saw you, bro. It's in there, bro. I saw it. It's somewhere. Don't matter. And we got the Greek bowl, which is like one of their breakfast bowls. These things are awesome. They have a ton of different kinds of them. This was my favorite, and I tried them all. I actually did it the last time I ate here. I got like 4 different bowls. But there's pita, there's egg, obviously. I got over easy. There's spinach, there's Euro meat, and then there's like a ton of home fries at the bottom. Last thing I got, because I never had it from here, and I've been trying them from all different places, I just got a regular cheeseburger. This is just cheeseburger. There's nothing else, just cheese and burger, and it comes with fries. I don't even got no ketchup on me. I just realized that. And last, this is baklava. They had 3 different kinds. Baklava is one of my favorite desserts. I know people say, oh, you say everything's your favorite. If you watch my videos, I always say the same things. Baklava, key lime pie, tres leches. Those are my jams. That's what I do when I go to places like this. So, they had 3 different kinds, and I've never had a round one before. Usually it's the square version, which is like stacked up phyllo dough. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and we're gonna try that one out as well. But I'm not gonna hold y'all. I want to talk about this movie because I need to just get it out. I need to get it out in the universe. If you don't know, as far as franchise movies go, horror movies, I'm a huge fan of horror movies. I have 3 that are my favorite. I have Saw. This is in no order. I have Chucky, and I have Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Child's Play. Those are my ones. So this for me is like Christmas. Like, I love watching these types of movies. So I will have a lot to say about it. Very in-depth, but no spoilers. Anyway, let's start off with this corned beef Reuben. I've already explained what a Reuben is, but I will tell it to you again. This thing's massive. So there's brisket instead of corned beef or pastrami, sauerkraut, and Swiss. Now you can get, look at, damn. Oh man, sometimes you'd be like, man, this is the life. This is the life. So as you can see, they did not skimp on the brisket. There's a lot of it, and it's usually served with rye bread. This is in fact rye bread. Let me see. I put the feet out. And my mouth, I can see this all over here. Hold on. I'm gonna have to wipe my hands in a second, but I want to talk about this real quick. I said it 3 times. There's a ton of brisket on here, like a metric ton. They did not skimp on the amount of brisket that you get, but it's super juicy. It's moist. It melts when you chew it. So you're not like sitting there just big bites. Lots of Swiss and sauerkraut. Even if you don't like Reubens, they probably have a brisket sandwich on the menu. I would just get that, because this is damn good. Whew. Oh man. Here's the thing for me. I'm glad they didn't go fully traditional with the Reuben. I'm gonna have to wipe my hands in a second. Normally Reubens you can get 2 ways. The more popular way is with Russian dressing, which I'm not a fan of Russian dressing, but you can also get it with mustard. This needs neither. It tastes great on its own. I will pick this whole thing up and eat it. This right here. This is what, to me, diners are all about. This is what you do. You put stuff combinations that aren't necessarily traditional. You can get it any time of day. Oh, man. I love living in New Jersey. A lot of y'all write things sometimes, and I appreciate it because I love where I'm from. And you say, you make me want to move to Jersey. Come through, man. That's delicious, man. 8.9 out of 10. Not quite 9 territory because I have had better brisket, but everything else about that that is cash money right there. Let's put this back. Let me get something to wipe my hands real quick. Let's go right into this burger. We've been doing burgers at a lot of different places. Right now, the best burger I've had in this area is still from the Chit Chat Diner. Is that bacon cheeseburger. But this is a plain burger. But just looking at this bun, it don't look like it's going to hit the same. But that's why we try these things. So again, it's just a plain ass cheeseburger. The cheese is melted. I can't get it off. But literally, just cheese and beef. Okay. Again, when you see me not going crazy, doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's okay. You serve me that burger, I'm not necessarily gonna be mad at you for it. But it ain't gonna make me put my feet out like this. That's not what it is. That's Powerade, by the way. People just saw me take a sip of that. I got Powerade Zero Sugar at the movie theaters. It is as basic gets for a burger. It's not a bad burger. It's not a great burger. It is just basic. Definitely cooked. With a little char on it. It's not seasoned. And it has cheese on it. And the bun, it's as as average as a bun gets. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. As average as a fry gets. It's not a bad fry. It's not a good fry. It's just a fry. Also give it a 5 out of 10. I'm not going to hold y'all with that one. There's no reason to break that down. It's a burger. You could probably cook the same burger at home. And it was about $11 for it. So, not crazy price. So I'm not mad at it. But let's go on to these sirloin beef tips. You get a pretty decent amount. It comes out to about 20 and change. So I think it was like $21. And again, it comes with 2 sides, mashed potatoes, and the spinach is what I picked, as well as a soup, or you can get a salad. That's how most diner dinners go, which is chicken matzo ball. So let's get into this and try this one. The hell? Okay, I don't have a problem with that right there. Let me get... Let me see. Got some sauteed spinach here. Now, I've had their spinach in that bowl, and it's usually fire. My reaction was the craziest for the spinach. I bet you never thought you'd see that day. I actually really do love spinach, especially sauteed spinach. Huge fan of it. The beef is, for me, a little bit too done, but they didn't really specify how you wanted it. So, that's just a personal thing. But the flavor in that au jus, very rich, deep, beefy flavor. No issue with that whatsoever. I'm getting more mashed potatoes. These mashed potatoes are the most homemade mashed potatoes I've gotten from any diner so far. And they're red. You can see they actually smashed together and made these from scratch. And it shows. My preference, again, personally, when it comes to mashed potatoes, are these as opposed to like the whipped ones. I like more of a smashed potato. I don't like it completely. Some people like use a ricer and they like it really whipped. I prefer the textural difference that you get with this kind. The au jus doesn't really go with the mashed as much, but it still works. And this is to die for. This is really good. So far of the dinners that I've gotten, like I've been picking one dinner. I mean dinner when it comes to like the potato and the vegetable and the This is the best one that I've had so far, where I think everything hits. I gotta get one more bite. When I do one more bite, you already know. If that beef wasn't cooked as much, again, they didn't ask you how you wanted it, I think they just did it this way, it would really be a knockout of the park. But even with that, this whole thing, with the matzo for 20 bucks, I'm not mad at that. But let's try this soup too. You don't know what matzo ball soup is? You're definitely not from this area. Every diner serves it. Matzo is that. This is matzo. So with matzo, it just replaces the noodle. So it's still chicken soup. Ooh, that's real chicken too. A lot of celery in here, though, bro. It's a solid soup. That's a solid soup. Somebody really knows how to make matzo. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna take a second. I have to break this down. But here's the thing: matzo is like, well, they usually make a flatbread from it that's unleavened. It's popular in Jewish delis, but they also have matzo meal, which is what they use to make matzo ball soup. Now, with the soup, I've had a lot of this at different places, but you can tell the difference, and the biggest difference that you can taste is this. There is a very deep, rich chicken fat flavor that comes in real matzo balls. Why did I put the pause in there myself? Grow up. Anyway, no, okay, I'm done. You can taste it. What they call that, they use chicken fat to make this. Like, and it's called schmaltz. And I can taste it in here. When you get people that don't necessarily make matzah, they don't use that. They'll use an oil or something else. But I can really taste that. And it's this deep, rich chicken flavor and plus the fat. Chicken fat is good, man. Right? I like dark meat. That's good, man. That's good. Just sometimes you just like, you don't expect something. I know you sort of double take, but that is good. That soup, I'll give an 8.7 out of 10. This, I would give a 6.5 out of 10. Again, it's just too overcooked for me, but everything else, the taste is there. And then these two sides are delicious, for real. Like, I would give those a 9 out of 10. The spinach, especially. I bet y'all didn't know I rock with spinach like that. But this is my favorite thing from here. This is the Greek bowl. Now, I'm going to break this apart. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. Pita. It has feta, right? So here's the feta. And then there's a ton of the hash browns that they put on the griddle. And then they have gyro meat in here, which is right here. And you get the eggs. It's like a breakfast Greek bowl. And you have tomatoes. But the first time I had this, I know y'all saw that thing fly out. Some of it got me in the eye. But we soldiers, look at this. The first time I had this, I tried all their bowls and I couldn't believe how good this was. If you don't know, a lot of the diner owners in New Jersey are in fact Greek. And if you go to the right one, they serve better Greek food than some Greek restaurants that you might try. Because it's legitimately the real recipes. So, most diners around here have an extensive Greek menu. You know, you'll get not just like gyros and things like that, but you'll get the other stuff that people may not be as familiar with. Damn, that's good, man. The gyro meat's really good. The hash browns are cooked perfectly. Still getting like potato skin in there. So, you know, they're real potatoes. It's not like old ass potatoes. They taste fresh. The pita, I don't really use this, but every once in a while, I just do one of them. And I'll dip it. The spinach is largely the same spinach. That's some good ass pita, man. Hold on. Hold on, man. Yeah. Yeah. This right here, though, for me, there's a slam dunk every time. Everything in it is good. Like, legitimately. Big, big fan. 9.5 out of 10. Like, I love this damn thing. Whew. But, hey, I'll make a whole mess over here. Let's get this baklava. One of my favorite desserts of all time right here. But in a round version. It's sweet. They do almonds, or pistachios, I should say. I've never had it like this, though, where it's like round. So I don't even know how the hell to eat this. I'm trying to break this bad boy open. This looks like it might bang. Here. Look at this. Look at that right there. That looks like it's bustling with flavor right now. It's really, really sweet, really nutty, but also the texture difference from the bottom part, which has, it's soaking in that like honey, pistachio, I don't know what you call it, solution, and it's soft, but then the top is that phyllo dough, which is like nice and crispy. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's how you get fat right there. Get that away from me. You know I'm not done with that, but I want to talk about this movie too. I give that a 9 out of 10. Very good. Is it the best I've ever had? No. But a 9 baklava, it'll blow you away. It'll do something to you. So let's talk about Saw 10. First and foremost, before I start getting into details, the most important question, did I like the movie? Yes. I thought it was very good. And this is coming from a person who's a huge fan of Saw. Again, I've seen all of these movies. I would probably guess like 20 times at least. I'm not joking either. Over the years, one of my traditions was going to ask any person who's in that millennial range about like the early 2000s to mid 2000s and Saw. It was every Halloween thing. It was a tradition for me. It was a movie that I just really associated with that era and that time, you know, when you're younger and you kind of, so for me, cream of the crop, top 3 series of all time, they did it right. That's the biggest thing that I came away from this. For fans of the series, you will enjoy kind of, in my opinion, where the series should have went after the second Saw. Now, the timeline of this movie actually takes place between Saw 1 and Saw 2, but you can see a clear direction that they could have gone. And unfortunately, you can't go back and do that, but this felt right. The story was more about John Kramer, aka Jigsaw himself, which was the focal point of the movie. But in the original, or the actual series, they made the fatal error, which I'm sure they probably regret, of killing him off in the third one. And they kind of pigeonholed, they couldn't do much with the story. And there really hasn't been a story before this that had him as the main focus of the entire movie. He was a part of the movie, but this is the first one that you'll watch where you feel like you're watching a movie where it's centered around him. With that being said, it is also the first time, without giving out spoilers, that I think some people will come away from this movie feeling like he was the hero of this movie. Now, I say that loosely because you still know what he is, but the way that they set this up, as you've seen the preview, so I'm not giving away anything that you haven't watched, he goes to Mexico to get this new experimental surgery because if you don't know, John Kramer gets and dies. Well, he has cancer. He doesn't die from cancer technically, but he does have terminal cancer from the entire timeline of the movie. So he goes to Mexico to try to get the experimental surgery, and it turns out to be a con. And then it turns into a bit of like a revenge film, which I'm not giving anything away. This is all in the preview. It very much feels that way. The first act of the movie, you just kind of get to know him as a person. And then it turns into when the certain events happen, you kind of know, okay, they're in for something. And knowing what we know, obviously, who he is, and you spend the first half of the movie going, man, they messed with the wrong person. Which is cool. As far as the traps and the kills of the movie go, it's really much more crude because he isn't as far along with his engineering. You can see him at certain points actually drawing the schematics, and he has a little journal, and you can see him kind of coming up with the concepts that you'll notice Easter eggs if you're a fan of. But they're a little more crude, but they're still, if you're going just for that, you'll be fine. By now, most people saw the preview again, so Amanda Young is in the movie as well. One thing that I did like about them using some of those characters from the past, like him and Amanda, is that they didn't bother trying to de-age anybody, which I thought would have taken away and just been annoying to look at. Anybody who's a fan of the series knows that Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith are 20 years older from when the movies first came out. So they're going to have aged a bit, but they both still look great. It's not really that big of a deal, in my opinion. I don't think they none of them, you know who you're looking at. You know, just anybody looks different in 20 years, but I'm glad they didn't bother with any of that stuff, because to me, if you're a fan of the series, you just want to see them. It doesn't really matter. And for people who complain that he wasn't in certain movies, you didn't like it, you'll come away satisfied, because there's not many scenes that don't have him in it, if any at all, to be honest. The other thing that you'll notice is this is also the first film where you feel like the people who he's putting through his games kind of deserve it. This is the first time that you actually really feel that way. Some of the characters in the other movies were a little ambiguous, where you're like, you know, I don't really think that they should have been. Some of these people in the other movies didn't, in my opinion, like, a bit much putting them through death traps. I mean, one guy was just a cheating husband. Like, you're just, you know what? So this time you do feel that, and I like that they went kind of with that. But to set John Kramer up as a bit of a sympathetic hero and to mildly succeed at it, in my opinion, was a ballsy ask, and they pulled it off. I really thought the movie was good. I thought that they spent more time telling the stories instead of just doing like a torture porn thing or trying to give people just like cool traps and shit. It made sense. And it went back to its roots, which is in the first two movies, in my opinion, of caring more about the characters and having a connection to them than just, let's just see what cool stuff we can come up with. Though its stuff is still cool, it went back to that. So I thank them for that. Again, as a fan of the series, this is my opinion where it should have gone after the events of Saw 2, or in between in this case, but they could have easily made a movie similar to this after Saw 2 and went from there. But it went in a direction that I think a lot of people started to get annoyed with, and the movie started to get monotonous to a lot of fans. I'm not one of them, but I completely understand why you did. So if the only two movies that I rank above it, ironically, Saw 1 and Saw 2. All of the other movies aren't as good as this. This was a very, very satisfying thing that I feel like was 20 years too late, but I'm still glad that I got to see it, and I got to see it in theaters. If you're not a fan of Saw, I still think you can watch this. I don't think the gore is like too much as opposed to some of the other ones, but it is there. But there's enough of a story here that even if you don't know what's going on, you'll still be able to follow along, which is really good. This is what it should have been in the first place. In my opinion, even though Saw personally for me is a top 3 horror franchise of all time, for me, I think it really could have been amongst the greats if they would have went in this direction and kept it there. But they tried to do too much. But awesome, awesome movie in my opinion. If I'm rating this up against other horror movies, I would give this a 4 out of 5 stars. That's legit. I can't wait to watch it again, because I know there were Easter eggs that I probably missed, but I did catch some. So fans of the series, if you know your Saw, if you know, you'll notice some Easter eggs in there. Really cool. That was awesome. Food was awesome. I am gratified. I am satisfied, and I am ready to take a nap. No, because I have to edit this. But you guys are ready to advise. I'll be back tomorrow. More content, man. I love y'all. The hand signs, they made it to YouTube.